Good evening and welcome to yet another one of our Wisdom Wellness programs, COVID-19 and Ayurveda. On behalf of Selvi, Fazana, Soraya, and myself, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome our guest for today, Dr. Srijit. Welcome, Dr. Srijit.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, skeptics often look on in disbelief when you mention the holistic approach of Ayurveda treatments, mostly as they don't comprehend it, but also because there are charlatans that promote it, not for their knowledge, but for the financial gains. Ayurvedic medicine, or Ayurveda for short, is one of the world's oldest holistic whole body healing systems. It was developed more than 3,000 years ago in India. It's based on the belief that health and wellness depend on a delicate balance between the mind, body, and soul or spirit. You know, it's that important that Johns Hopkins website describes Ayurveda as such. It says natural system of medicine. The term Ayurveda is derived from the Sanskrit words Ayur, life, and Veda, science or knowledge. Thus, Ayurveda translates to knowledge of life, based on the idea that disease is due to an imbalance of stress in a person's consciousness. Ayurveda encourages certain lifestyle interventions and natural therapies to regain a balance between the body, mind, spirit, and the environment. Ayurveda treatment starts with an internal purification process, followed by a special diet, herbal remedies, massage therapy, yoga, meditation, and so on it goes. If such a reputable medical institution elaborates thus, the least we can do is to be open-minded to the thought that there is merit in taking this holistic approach as an alternative approach to Western medicine. Before we move on to our esteemed speaker today, I'd like to ask my friends here what they think about this holistic approach of Ayurveda. Soraya, would you like to start? You're muted.
Oh, sorry. Thank you so much. And Dr. Srijit, thank you for being here with us all the way from India. You know, I am very attuned to holistic remedies. And I think what is exciting about Ayurveda is, Carol, that I feel that we cannot go in and scrub our inner bodies. So we have to learn a new way to help cleanse our tissues. And I'm told Ayurveda is a perfect solution for that. And on that note, excited to learn what we are going to learn today. I also want to remind everybody the cause and the purpose of our gathering. Just a couple of days ago, we had the International Girl Day to celebrate girls. And then we are here to celebrate girls and women. And let us, as we listen to the program, keep in mind our final goal is to promote national unity through the activism and engagement of women. And it is our fervent hope that what we discuss here, the series we have had all along, would have inspired you to commit more consciously to your health, because our nation deserves and needs healthy, strong, powerful women. And I'm excited to listen to Dr. Srijit. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Soraya. Fazana, over to you. You need to unmute.
Yeah. Thanks, Soraya, and thanks, Carol. Yeah, I mean, I also always believe in alternative medicines compared to the Western approach. And I have used Ayurveda treatment for at various points in my life. And I'm looking forward to hearing and learning from Dr. Srijit more than because I feel there's a lot more to learn than what we know. And this holistic approach is always sustainable, and it is less harmful to us in the long term. And I think a lot of practitioners have practiced this in India and even in Sri Lanka. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you.
Thanks, Fazana. You know, we've been very fortunate in this Wisdom Wellness series that we've been doing, ladies and Dr. Srijit, because we have brought in experts in their fields to talk about the various holistic approaches. And I think it's important that we keep an open mind We always ignore the fact when you take Western medicine, although some of the, complications are derived from plants and, various things that they use in holistic methods, right? They then turn it out artificially or synthetically to provide you. But then we ignore the point that there are side effects to some of these medicines that we take. So, Selvi, over to you.
Thank you, Carol. I think you have succinctly put to us what Ayurveda is and the history and so on and so forth. So there is not much for me to say, except to say that, I trust Ayurveda 100%. And I believe that Ayurveda is the medicine, healing, empowerment, and well-being of tomorrow's world. It has that kind of a impact on people at the moment. And I have had personal experience with Dr. Srijit's Atreya resorts in Kottayam. I've been there twice, and I have seen how effective the treatment is in terms of detoxing. So I would recommend that to anybody who thinks, they want to clean up or detox. It's a wonderful experience. It's a very beautiful place, run efficiently by Dr. Srijit and his staff. It works like clockwork. So with that, let me introduce Dr. Srijit, and it's my honor to introduce Dr. Srijit today. Dr. Srijit is an Ayurvedic honorary medical director of Atreya Ayurvedic Center. It's a world-class Ayurvedic spa located in Kottayam in Kerala. Here he serves patients from 104 nations who come seeking authentic traditional Ayurveda therapies. He also serves as the medical officer for the state government of Kerala. He's dedicated to offer professional initiatives to help through 4 WhatsApp groups, helping young interns of 19 Ayurveda colleges who are yet to establish their career successfully. Simultaneously, he shares his expertise with over 2,500 doctors in Kerala on very regular basis to share effective clinical experiences. He is also the founder of Ayush Defense Squad for online defense of Ayurveda against the onslaught of the allopathic practitioners. He has been mentored by a 91-year-old oncologist in India, Dr. C.P. Matthew, who has documented and continues to document over 8,500 patients of cancer cured by Ayurveda, for which he received a lifetime award. I now present to you Dr. S.P. Srijit. Over to you, Dr.
First of all, am I audible enough? If not visible enough, is my voice clear?
Yes, I think you're very clear.
Yeah, so we'll get into action. Just a couple of additions. One, recently my mentor turned 92. So he's a medico for the last like 72 years as a medico, but as a doctor only 67 years. So that was just to add there, updating. And I would be definitely incomplete without the great support and professional acumen of my wife, Dr. Jereshmi, who I strongly believe it's always wise to second to a lady because you have a powerful figure. I have a lot of admiration for the lady's power, as I would say. In India, let us start with that. In India, there is a saying, that's in Sanskrit, but I translate: a society where ladies are respected, God lives there. So that's what we also believe in Ayurveda. So I think since this show is run by the ladies, all respects to you, and let us get into action. Ma'am, if the PowerPoint is ready, which it is, then I think you can control the PowerPoint and we get into that. So ma'am, the first one very straightforward, Ayurveda and how we can use in COVID prevention or cure. Yeah, next ma'am. It's very simple. I'm just reading the most striking points. More than 3,500 years documented, researched. No, it's not about just prolonging life or treating diseases or curing diseases. It's all about also invigorating it to the best of the quality of life that somebody can think about. Well, with all respect to the Western medical practitioners who are doing a great task, no second thoughts, no second opinion on that. However, if people from 104 nations come to our small clinic, it's a hospital, it's a NABH accredited hospital, that's the best standards available in India, government standards. If people can come from 104 nations, I'm sure, since we are not a resort kind of, cozy, very comfortable, setup, it's a clinic, a hospital. So it simply speaks that they were not fully happy with the results they had in their home country. So that's why I would say that Ayurveda, like any other indigenous system that every country has a great role even now. Next, please. And this is very clear cut, is that in Ayurveda the idea of immunity is hugely considered, and that's why I put it like this. So it's just a Sanskrit verse. We just have to think about the strength physically and mentally, and that's why it is very relevant in COVID times, because vaccines are great or not great, I'm not debating on that, but that's not enough. Vaccines alone will not be enough. Next, please.
Dr. Srijit, can I stop you for a second? I have a request from the viewers asking if you could speak a little bit louder, please.
Oh, yes,
Thank you.
yes, yeah. Thank you, ma'am. So maybe I make it near. Yeah. So here, should I repeat the previous one or no? That's fine. Should I be repeating?
No, that's fine. Please
Okay.
continue.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Panchakarma is, I would say, is a gift of Ayurveda to the world, just as yoga is a gift of India to the world. And of course, yoga and Panchakarma and Ayurveda, the origin may be in India or other is, but it doesn't matter. It belongs to the world. Simple as that. So this Panchakarma has a big role because it is the process of eliminating toxins, which have very far-reaching implications. The impact of that in the long run, in not only in preventing ailments, which is very important, but also curing ailments. And so much so we have now the post-COVID challenges. And also it helps in eradicating pre-morbid conditions, which makes the body more stronger and robust physically, mentally. And obviously, who doesn't like to have maintaining the vitality of the body tissues? Who doesn't like to be in a youthfulness state? And of course, immunity, the most important word. Next, please. So we have two waves in India already. Third did not come or will not come perhaps. So it's still a medical challenge. All of us know that. So now the medicine may change and the treatment protocol may change and the vaccination strategy may change. We never know. The modern medicine does have its share of unending dilemma. There is no doubt, at least in India. Next, please. So what we are already finding is a challenge is that the more and more mutations happening is we still don't know what the further days are waiting for the whole world regarding COVID-19. But whatever be the reality, we have to make the defenses of our body and mind constantly strong. This is inevitable, and this is a minimum. Next, please. So, I mean, it's important to have actionable information. So, when it comes to COVID care, it's not just about medicines. Of course, there are medications, of course, there are therapies, but then the following things hardly cost much. Breathing exercises, because breathe is a connection between the body and the mind, and we all know how important breath is anyway. And the Ayurvedic food selecting patterns. There are some food patterns which are judiciously selected that has a good impact on the health, and of course modification lifestyle obviously, and a moderate detox at home level, very moderate detox, that helps a lot. So it's something that you may not necessarily always visit a hospital to get it done. Under a professional guidance it can be done. Ma'am, is the voice kind of okay now? I'm just
Very good.
oh,
Very
okay,
good.
okay,
Thank you.
okay, okay, ma'am. Next, please. So here, I mean, self-explanatory, all self-explanatory. Uh, like when there is a onslaught by the so-called Western medicine, I'm not trying to foul mouth anything or anyone, but then it's important to have professional respect and then to fight it out together and not fighting among systems. So that's what I'm just showing. I mean, if steroids went off, or all those things, very clear cut. I think I can go forward. Next. So the best strategy is to preserve the immunity power, and that's the best, the robust armor. When the attack of the enemy is made less effective, that's what we have to look for. Next, please. Breathing for de-stress. We all know the impact breathing has in terms of the stress getting lowered, and the mind stress is automatically cardio pulmonary imbalance. And
I think we must mute everybody.
Yeah,
Carol, yes.
I did.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Srijit, if you can just unmute yourself only.
yes, ma'am. Now I resume. I resume. Okay. Or should I keep?
I'm asking, I'm requesting all the participants to please mute yourselves because we can't hear Dr. Srijit. Thank you very much. Over to you, doctor.
Yeah, yeah. So the fact is, breathing is as relevant. I can halt for another few seconds. No, maybe it's okay now. I will halt when somebody's there. Okay, let's keep going. I'll keep going and we will see.
I'm sorry about this, but there's somebody who's here. There, I see one. Okay.
No problem. Few seconds, I can cover up the time anyway. So the kind of balance is reclaimed by breathing properly has a great impact on the cardiopulmonary, the heart and the lung health. And obviously it's a connection
Right.
link of body and mind, very important. So enhanced oxygen concentration always causes immunity to boost. This is what we find. Next please. Yeah. And as you know, we all need greater than 92 SpO2. So that's very much needed as much, and that is why the cardiorespiratory health of the breathing exercises assume so much of importance. Next. Yeah, ma'am. Next. Yeah, next. Yeah, next, please. Yeah, yeah. Very simple. Let us go forward because its effect is not only lungs and heart, but also brain and digestive organs. No, of course, the mind too. Next, please. Again, in Ayurveda, we have a lot of, we're going to second topic, which is called exercises pattern, because these things somebody can do anywhere at home easily. And exercises in moderation is a mantra. And here what you see is called sun salutation. And of course, that's known to everyone. It doesn't cost much. By the time you reach a gym in about 10 or 15 minutes from your home, you're already done with about 14 sun salutations. So that's so cost effective and time effective. Just need a mat. Somebody can do it and doesn't have to be saluting the sun all the time. You can do it in the evening too. It's one of the best stretching, and it's a multi-level of stretch, and it easily burns calories to a decent level. So 14 is a minimum. We would say 21, like 12 is minimum, 21 is nice. So a professional guidance is always important, and not to feel heavily drained after doing it. Very, very important. Next, please. This is a kind of what we say nose is a gateway to the head. There are very simple procedures which can be done to enhance the effect on a high stress level of mind and of for sinus health to get better, and for the brain health and the sleep patterns, because nose is the gateway to the head as we call it, and we all know the mask is for the mouth and the nose anyway. So for that reason, the first defense is through the nose. And when we have simple methods to follow, and of course I'll come to that specific formula that we use. I can say it right away actually. We use black pepper and ginger powder, make as a small bolus regularly. That's called nasya, that is dry nasya. There's other form of nasya too, which is wet nasya, which is liquid or oil, whichever, or herbal juice, whichever. So this is how we have found a very great impact on many people, because black pepper and ginger, dry of course, both of them are very antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal. So when you spray it across scenario here, you keep the first line stronger. So mask is nice, I don't deny that, but mask is just a barrier. It doesn't have any organic impact. So that's why we have found it very useful in our place. Yeah, of course, we have data for the same. Everything is very clear. Next, please. Doing head oil helps many people to reduce the hypertension and the levels of stress, because stress is a major factor that is happening, the fear of getting COVID and the fear of getting into complications. So this one practice involves on the bregma area. As you can see, bregma is the line that you form, vertex as it is called, the line between the let me put this way, like here I start here, ear one, and then I go like this, and this comes like this, and then they're meeting together here. This is a bregma, the central point. So it's as seen in the video or the photo. So there is where we place these herbal oils. But if you don't get herbal oils, even coconut oil is great. I mean, it can be virgin coconut oil, it can be olive oil. These are very fair enough to be used because it lowers the systolic blood pressure in a positive manner, and it has a great impact in the stress levels to maintain normally. So of course we use herbal oils here, but those who are outside India, they can try this way also. Next, please. Food, of course, 1/4 of what you have keeps you alive, and 3/4 of what you have, of course, keeps doctors alive. So maybe sounds sarcastic enough, but no, that's a reality, and somehow this reality is supported by good majority of people, and not necessarily doctors. So it's a simple reminder. Yeah, next, please. Yeah, again, what we can do at home, what are the kind of protocols, very simple, that we do. A very fantastic effect of detox is attained by just 3 gram of ginger, 3 of the what we call as crushed coriander seed, boiled in a liter of water, and if this water is had throughout the day, it has a great impact in clearing solid waste and liquid waste from the body. And similarly, you can always use the basil leaf if you have, or the dry powder is okay. Black pepper everyone has, caraway seed everyone has, same 1 liter water boil. So, and same is with cumin, garlic. So whatever taste, you can change the water as and when you feel like. So you have 3 options for a week. So this is something that you can be labeling it as a herbal tea. Like we had the nose doing, we had something for the head, we had a food, and now we have a herbal water. Yeah. Next, please. Herbal buttermilk is also again very great impact in gastrointestinal health, because in any disease, gastro health has to be very fantastic. Very simple. You have about 100 ml of the plain yogurt or curd. You're putting about 5 times water, removing or churning off the fat. Of course, you get less fat yogurt also in the market, I know, but in India that's what we do. Once the fat is removed, is ready. You can add any kind of seasoning to it, and it's a great impact with gastrointestinal tract, which goes for a toss after many infections or fevers. So this is a practice we use very effectively. Next, please. It's a symbolic photo of how 6 different mandatory tastes need to be in a meal. You need a bit of sweet, I mean natural, of course. You need a bit of sour, salty, astringent, bitter, and of course the pungent. So it's all very clearly there. I mean, this is Kerala Sadhya, but these tastes will vary from culture to culture, material to material. But all of them, when they are provided in a single meal, as much it can be, they contribute to a lot of biochemical impact in the body. Much of biochemical reactions happen in a positive manner. Next, please. From food, we hop to kitchen. Everyone has garlic and everyone has turmeric, at least in Asia. So this can be used in many manners. Turmeric is used left, right, center all over India and in Asia too. Garlic has a fantastic antiviral property, and no wonder USA was very keen to have patency of turmeric. I mean, more than 20 years ago, they are obviously very smart people who figure out what is best in any part of the world, and they derive it and take back home. So I mean, but then the culture is still here in India. So use this, very effective for immune enhancing activity. It's a grandma's kitchen. I thought I should use such simple to use, proven, regularly used items, other than commenting or presenting names of medicines. So let us not make it
Yeah.
medical. Let's make it homely. That's the intention. Yeah. Next, please. Again, the dry ginger and black pepper in any forms, be it a chutney like, be it anything. Yes, sir. So it's like dry ginger used not only to sniff but also to consume. Yeah, black pepper the same way. It can be tea also, in multiple ways. They just have to be in the system. The turmeric can go in the curry, more than garlic can be used in any form. So sauce, whichever. Next, please. And of course, the basil everyone has. Honey has a great impact, because honey has a great impact like ginger for the upper respiratory and lower respiratory health. So that is why it's very important. The only thing is that honey should not be had hot. It has to be not warm or hot, just plain. That's very important. Otherwise, it's creating endotoxins as per Ayurveda. Next, please. Uh, the Indian gooseberry. Well, everyone knows. Well, I won't call ashwagandha as Indian ginseng. I don't prefer that, but then no, it's easy to relate. Ashwagandha is world over found everywhere easily. So Indian gooseberry, you have amla powder in many places. You have ashwagandha, multiple brands, whatever you're convenient and comfortable with. They have a great impact in anti-aging effect in the body, and anti-aging cannot happen unless the immunity is boosted. This is a simple fact. Next, please. This is about a certain herbal disinfectant smoke. Well, the formula is simple, but this is just showing how a certain place in Kerala was using this herbal fumigation or disinfected, and how the rates were coming down. It's in a municipality ward. It's a place. It's somewhere in Kerala, north of Kerala. How the cases were coming down. So it has a great. What I mean is, unless a person is clean and unless the environment around him is clean, I mean, things are not in our favor. So that's why the environment also needs to be cleaned. Ma'am, next, please. Here we see we have the graph before that, but anyway, uh, the central government had initiated a project, a large scale project, giving free medication, distributing free medication to the citizens of India, and it has a great impact. It had a great impact in curbing the what we call as the rate of the spread, and also reducing the complications in many people. So I mean, I-64 is an official name, but it has of course Ayurvedic medicines only. So this is a service done by our central government, and this was of course reflected to the state government, which also did a great amount of work for it. So I think we are complete with that. And is there anything else I should be? Yeah, I think is there. I think more important would be the questions. No, if they can come, that is the best.
Yeah, Soraya.
Yes, Dr. Srijit, you spoke a lot about pepper. I mean, I live in the US, and pepper is also, I'm told, causes gastric issues. How much pepper are you talking about? Because I put pepper in my juices often. So if you can tell me, like, how many pods
Ma'am, 2 to 3 grams are usually fine.
on a daily basis?
Yeah. The reason is we don't wish a scenario of having gastric juices challenged or gastritis happening and irritating somebody's stomach lining. We want enough to keep the phlegm in control and enough for the system to be activated. There are people, they are okay with even 10 grams, but I would say to have 2 to 3 in one meal time only max. We don't
Okay.
want to overrun the mucosa, irritating it.
Okay. And another follow-up question, Dr. Srijit. So the consistency, all the foods you suggested, in fact, I took copious amounts of notes. Has it to be done every day or 3 days of the week? How do we keep it up?
The 6 taste, you mean, ma'am?
The foods you mentioned, garlic and honey and
Yeah. I had made,
ashwagandha.
The
yeah.
kitchen stuff.
Yeah, kitchen. Yeah, ma'am, I made different options so that at least you can take one item a day. No, so that you don't feel like in a syllabus of being in this herbal thing. So I thought two a
Okay.
day, and then that the two items come on the fourth day again.
Somebody once said you can eat all you want, the best of the best, but if you are having a lot of stress, it's not going to give you the health you desire. This. What do you have to say about that, doctor? The stresses.
Of course. Yeah, definitely. Because in Ayurveda, the mind and body are, of course, like any other medical science, it is inseparable. We say in Ayurveda, if you have a hot pot and you put a ghee portion to it, ghee is like clarified butter, the ghee would melt. A clarified butter would melt anyway, or rather, it will just be affected. The heat of the pot would affect the ghee. Same way, the heat of the mind will affect the body. So, one of the definitions of Ayurveda's health is itself not only the absence of disease, but it resonates with the WHO's. Well, we are not worried about WHO, but then it resonates with WHO's definition, it's a state of physical and of course psychological well-being. So unless somebody is happy and emotionally content, then health may elude them. We are not talking about physical fitness or running a marathon, which people may do, but a sense of happiness is sometimes more important than being size zero at the navel level, which people try for, which is fine though.
Thank you so much. I think, Carol, there's an important question
Yeah.
in the chat. Yes. And that was a
Is there
question
a
I also
simple
meant to ask.
detoxification that you suggest, says one of our viewers? Is there
Yes, ma'am.
something, I mean, a home detoxification?
Yeah, it can be easily related, but I can always send to Ma'am Selvi what we exactly do here as a simple copy paste of the information. Is that there's something called kunjal. The word is kunjal in yoga. So any yoga teacher, if approached, okay, can you get kunjal done on me, would easily guide you, which involves having a mass or volume of, not mass, volume of 2.5 3 liters of salt water, lukewarm salt water, that induces a kind of vomiting like situation. It may sound gross, and if you see my video also is quite gross, but it cleanses the upper gastro fantastic. And similar way, there's something called Shanka Prakshalan. Again, any yoga teacher can tell, where they use castor oil. Well, it varies, ma'am. The options do vary, but something easily doable at home. And there are disclaimers, obviously. Using castor oil up to 30 ml and with warm milk, if it is affordable to you, or any kind of juice or herbal plain warm water also, which would clear the toxins of the middle gastro, if I use that word. So these two things are so easily doable at home, one Saturday, one Sunday, back to back. Having porridge, kind of simple, easy to digest food, uh, like a rice porridge, or even having hot water throughout the day if you're not really hungry. So this has a good cleanse. People feel light, refreshed, and invigorated.
So you are saying, doctor, to sip 3 liters of warm water in
One
with
and a half.
salt.
Yeah,
The
one and a
whole
half
the
liters. Yeah,
one
yeah,
and a
yeah.
half,
Yeah, yeah.
1.5 liters the
At
whole
least,
day.
no, ma'am. One shot in a matter of 10
One
15
go.
minutes. Yeah, one go. Yeah. So 1.5 is the minimum. 3 is kind of sufficient, because not everyone may, and you don't have to struggle at all. There's no struggling, no forcing, nothing. It's just that you just have to keep having it, and then you'll feel it after about 10 minutes. You feel like, "Ah, my stomach is going to explode now. I can't have it anymore," and then it really is. Now it just comes out.
You throw
And
up.
So this is good for
yeah,
your upper gastric. Is that
cleanse
what
through,
you're saying?
yeah. The middle gastro is through the purgation, as we call. The first one is herbal emesis. I didn't want to use that word, but no, we have to use it at some point. And second is herbal purgation.
So you throw
There's
up
another
after that,
question,
doctor?
doctor.
Yes,
Sorry.
ma'am.
You
Some
threw
have
up.
even
Okay.
diarrhea. Some have diarrhea. And it's very simple, ma'am. I do it every 3 to. It keeps the skin very good. I don't claim my skin is good. Don't mistake me. But most people do it regularly. They feel very lighter and better. I
Wow.
say it because I have a lifespan of a life working span, time span of like 9:30, 3:30. I is my retiring time, sleep time. So these practices help me to be up before 4 o'clock, 3:34, and be full live wire, full of battery, which is done. I do it on myself, ma'am. Nothing is conveyed to anyone till it's done on me. I have made video, and if you ever Google with the word Sadhyo Vamana and my name, you see me puking all over in the YouTube.
Doctor, what is your view on intermittent fasting?
Ma'am, fantastic.
Fasting.
This was like
Hmm.
in Kerala, what used to be in the rest of India, like 10:30 max in the morning, they will have their first meal, and they'll have the next meal at 6ish or 5:30ish. So like in a span of 6 hours to 7 hours, both food timings have been, utilized. So that is what is intermittent fasting in some other sense of it. That was a practice in India, and nothing against British, but the British made 3 4 meal times, and then no, it just was not in favor of India's food culture anyway, and that's why we have difficulties of people able to be away from more than 3 or 4 meal time. They just can't afford to have 2 meal. But then I have from my experience 2 times a meal, an hour of exercise every day, and working 10 or 12 hours, and couple of meal timings, we can be full battery. I mean, so far, can't say
So,
tomorrow.
doctor, they say that intermittent fasting helps men more than it does women. I do it on a daily basis. So my last meal is by 6:45 in the evening,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
then my first meal of the day is at 12:30 or 12 o'clock at noon. And I play sports, so I have to go for training in the mornings, and I come back. I don't feel hungry at all. I, in fact, feel quite light. I don't lose any weight though, because they always say it's a sideline of the intermittent fasting is that you lose weight. I don't lose weight, but I feel light on the court when I'm playing. So I was wondering whether it was a healthy thing to do for your your gastroenterology side of it,
Ma'am, if you have hyperacidity and acidic regurgitation, you feel irritated, lack of sleep, and don't feel good in many ways, not only physically but psychologically, and many other things that it's not me well settled or well calm and composed kind of feeling, then it means it's not suiting you. Like it won't be
Right.
effective for
No, I
everyone.
sleep really well. I sleep from 10 o'clock at night. I wake up at 3:45, 4 in the morning, and I do all my stretches and some yoga and go off for play, to play sport early. So I don't have any issues like that. The only thing is, everybody talks about losing weight from doing intermittent fasting, and that is a definite no-no for me. I don't think it's affected me in that sense.
Yeah,
But I was wondering whether it would affect the gastric, digestive system in any way.
ma'am, if you don't have pain abdomen, you have food, or after 3 hours of having food, and if you don't have acidity, as I mentioned before, if there are no symptoms that bothers you, then it suits you, but doesn't mean it suits everyone.
Right. Right.
I have a very quick question. Doctor, please talk about vegetarianism, veganism, and meat eating. Should we all be herbivores?
Ma'am, the science of Ayurveda does mention about different types of meat and alcohol. So let us be very frank about that. The science of Ayurveda doesn't say to be vegetarian all the time. If you ask me strictly, the textbook narration. However, we are typically meant to be herbivorous in that sense. At least I can say in the case of cancer, after having spent last 2 years intensively with about more than 10,000 consultations with cancer patients, I've realized vegetarianism helps a lot to prevent many diseases because we are definitely not having enough of exercise or spending of energy of late compared to our forefathers. So meat once a while, twice a week kind of okay because you need some kind of protein for your professional requirements of sports or other activities. Because in the science of Ayurveda, when you lose muscle wasting as we call, it is recommended to have alcohol and meat together to put on muscle weight. But then, that's not everyone's necessity. Not everyone is having tuberculosis or muscle disorders. So that way, the majority is always best by vegetarianism. The impact is great. And at least in the case of breast cancer, this meat eating is definitely not helping anyone. That's for sure. And my mentor, after spending 67 years as a doctor, this is what he has conveyed. That is his observation. So I would definitely lean towards vegetarianism. Meat eating or such once a while is kind of okay, but ultimately the mind should be free without any kind of no stress about what I'm
Stress.
having or not. Yeah, absolutely, ma'am.
Yeah.
Big,
So,
big.
Doctor, what is Nitya Rasayana? I think
Yeah,
if you
like
can
you see,
explain.
yeah, ashwagandha, an example. You may call it ginseng, but not exactly. I would use that word all the time. And then amla, you saw the Indian gooseberry. These are like some which can be had daily. Nitya means daily. Rasayana is like elixir or rejuvenator. So they enhance the tissue vitality. They give a sense of youthfulness, and they have what I would call as a heightened quality of the body tissues as the end result. So this is why in the past, Nelica, I don't know if somebody of you from Sri Lanka, then you relate to it easily. Nelica is something, it's a Tamil word. It was used very commonly. They would have
Yeah,
this
we call it Nelly.
Nelly, we call it
yes,
Nelly.
yeah,
But it's an
absolutely.
underutilized fruit here, actually. Quite often you don't see it being sold in the market or whatever. So,
Oh,
unless it's in
that
your
is.
backyard, people, unlike in India. So
Oh,
is
that
Amla and Nelica the same thing?
same, absolutely, ma'am. Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
one of the most, what I would call as anti-aging medication. We find it so easily in the streets. I mean, it's common here in India. Well, not everyone is having it, but that's a medical culture. That's why Nitya
But
Rasana is
oh no, quickly in the US we have the Amla drink,
powder.
Amla juice, and
Oh,
it's
great.
preserved. Yeah, we
Yeah,
are. It's very
preserved.
popular with us who are health conscious.
Preservatives. Well, something better than nothing.
Doctor,
Fine.
I would like to ask about how you start treating. When a patient comes to you, what methodology would you follow to start treating the illness? And also, there is a point of view that the COVID is actually a result of our karma, collective karma of plundering and misusing the planet and the nature. And that's why it has come upon us. So what do you think of that, and how would you start treating people if that theory was right? If it was karma, then how would you treat those patients using Ayurveda?
Ma'am, the very first thing is I would answer the second question first, because in Ayurveda there's a narration called Janapata Dhvamsi. Very simple. Janapata is like a society. Jana is like people. Pada is like, no, a place where people are. It's like a huge society or community like that. Dhvamsa means destruction. So even 3,000 plus years ago, there were calamities of this nature where the entire population is wiped off. So that was hugely attributed to wrong kind of rulers. So are we blaming the government? Let us not. Secondly, is the corrupt officials. So are we blaming the bureaucracy? We can't. Third is the intellectual blasphemy of the public or the people. So those days also there were people who were just going against nature. However, pollution was in different sense. So it says where the water is contaminated, the air is contaminated, the land is contaminated, and water is left out to contaminate there. So this is today's reality too. There is definitely a karma factor that we can't deny, visible or invisible. So coming to treating a patient, of course, people are working on that in different manners. I think it has humbled many people and it has formatted many psych, the COVID in many manners. So that shows the simplicity or the uh, you know different domains or the different shades of human life that can just go like that in a split second. So people are humble
Yeah.
about it, I assume. I hope that humility continues for a longer time, even if COVID is done. So the second part of treating a patient, the very first thing I would personally go for in Ayurveda to understand is, should I treat this patient or not? That's my first concern. Because are we capable to help somebody? That's our first and foremost concern. And even if we are capable, should we treat? Because it depends upon the red flags the person carries with him or her. Because there may be situations that it's counterproductive to treat somebody. The stage may be like that. So if these kind of what we say logistical or not exactly non-medical aspects are taken care of, then we first request them to send a long reply to a set of questions we have. We call it as medical form or medical questionnaire. And then we have a discussion about these are the symptoms and these are the doshas we find in you, these are the tissues involved, and this is what the cure prospects are like. This is a roadmap of recovery. This is the effort that is needed. This is the process how it looks like, and can you have these videos seen about these processes XYZ. So all these gives them an idea that okay, this is the outcome that is possible, this is the methodology that he or she has to accept if they want to accept, and then they get into that. But this is just the interview part. There's something called inspection and palpation that is always very relevant and happens only in person. On top of all these would be the role of investigation. You have low back ache, an example sake, and then it can happen because of constipation. It can happen a wrong chair that you're sitting commonly. It can be the seat of your car, driving seat that is not well adjusted and you sprain your lower back. It can be pot belly, and then of course you have to think of multiple myeloma or cancer kind of situations which can show as low back ache. So what I mean is that we do try to understand as much through interview, some with inspection and palpation, and some we have to rely on investigation. You need x-ray sometimes, you need MRI, CT scan, but then most of diagnoses are clinical in nature, but not everything can be clinically detected. You need investigations. So our society of Ayurvedic doctors, our generation of Ayurvedic doctors, we are going for a scenario where we are integrating what is already with us and things that have come new, and they are definitely achievements of physics and chemistry, biochemical and such things, than by modern medicine itself, which is also a great system. That way a patient doesn't get anything denied or unattended, and that makes it easy for them to understand that yes, I got all the parameters that had to be selected. Of course, that had to be selected. Of course, the pulse comes into it, the multiple things that come into it. So that's how we.
Doctor, I had a quick question. So do you recommend chemotherapy for cancer patients? And for those who have had chemo, how do they specifically detox?
Ma'am, the answer is yes, and the answer is no also. There are situations because I take the classes on cancer care very commonly, so which usually ends up like 3.5 hours, the entire spectrum of things. The answer is yes. There are situations where chemo is the only saving grace. We can't deny that. The answer is no. There are a lot of commercial motivated hospitals. I'm really sorry to use ugly words, but that's the reality. At least in India, I can't say of other states, other parts of the world, where chemo is unnecessarily done and damaging in effect. So the condition specificity is very important. Sometimes it is best chemo not done and let the patient have the natural ability to heal promoted. Sometimes when you have lymphoma, let us be point blank about it, you have lymph nodes all over, all grow and like that, you have big masses, you need chemo. There's a metastasis, this has spread to different location, CA, breast, liver, you need chemo to destroy that. So you need chemo to destroy tumor some point, but sometimes it ends up destroying your body itself. So this is totally a professional decision of any doctor to convey. And coming to the post chemo side effects, yes, Ayurveda has a great deal to offer in that, because you chemo is like a toxic element. No, it's a great toxic element because of its great impact, but still it's a toxic element. And the kind of side effects that happens after chemo, they are quite a lot shunted out by Ayurvedic therapies, but the progress is good, but sometimes it is slow also. But still, it is very much profitable for the human body to go through the Panchakarma process or similar methods of Ayurvedic medications that restores the normalcy of health to a great extent. Because chemo is treating disease, ma'am, it's not treating the person. So what about the
Thank you.
person?
Right.
Mm.
Doctor, I had a question for you. You optimize breathing for top performance in sport.
Hmm.
That's one of the, like, for me, especially being an athlete, it's really hard. Sometimes I'm struggling with my breath, not my physical body. My physical body can go, but the breathing gets really hard. So does pranayama help, or is there something in Ayurveda that you can take that would help you to maximize your optimize your breathing
Yes, ma'am.
ability?
Pranayama, of course, it's a lung exercise, a breathing exercise. That's okay. That's always done and effective. Agreed. But in terms of conditions we call no chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, or interstitial lung disease, ILD, in this group of entity, or pulmonary fibrosis, PF, in all these conditions, we definitely need a situation where the something that was like a sponge becomes a coir or like a fiber. So that's how we have to kind of reverse it. So there are medications which are very effectively used. Ashwagandha is one of them. And we use some other things which we call Abhraka Bhasma, Abharaka, Abhraka Bhasma. One example, it's mica kind of mineral. But anyway, it's not just that, it's purified, and much processes are are undertaken. So there are medications which enhance the lung capacity. Definitely.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Dr. Srijit.
I would like to
Yeah.
ask you something about India and about how India has tackled COVID. Because according to the research by John Hopkins, it looks like India has done quite well in trying to keep corona under control. So I would like to share some slides from here, which is, can you see the slide?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Right. Anyway, what the slide is actually telling you is that the rate of vaccination in India is under 40%, while the daily infections and the death rates are so small when compared to England. So what was it that contributed to this, that we are able to see such a good result in India, where they are able to control and keep the infections and the deaths very low when compared to UK, while UK did a very high level of vaccinations, which went up to about 60 to 70%, but still their infections and the death rates were higher.
Ma'am, with all respect to every developed or developing or underdeveloped country, as it is called, it's not my nomenclature. The fact is, in India, the government of the Modi government, the central government, Modi government, the Honorable Prime Minister of India did a great job in propagating Ayush, as we call, not only Ayurveda,
Ayush
but
64, you said.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ma'am, Ayush 64 is name of a tablet or a medicine,
Ah,
but the Ayush system, as we call, has Ayurveda, of course, Yoga, Unani, Siddha, which is from Tamil Nadu side, and homeopathy. So they have done a great task of integrating this because in prevention level, I hardly know of the Western medicine doctors claiming it, which Ayush people do claim, and they have their data to prove that. However, this synchronization and this integration of the Western medicine's emergency care units, be it ventilator and such, a group of ICU intensive, and the Ayush had a great blessing in the population. That is one thing. Infrastructure wise, the government was very smart and efficient enough to get that done. However, it did not stop there. The people themselves took to Ayush automatically by following Ayurvedic food and lifestyle aspects, drinking hot water instead of plain cold water, having food which is very spicy in nature, which are lungs protective, like that. So the kitchen medicines, as if I call them, or the kitchen herbs, did a great job because that is a household thing, ma'am. Like I don't know of many homes in India who may not be using kurkuma or pepper or haldi. It is very unlikely. I mean, you can't be so-called Indian home if you don't have this. Very literally unlikely. So that is one of the second reasons. Third is people had no other option but to be fearless. So that contributed quite a lot. The psyche of the Indian population is very positive, and more importantly, they knew that they won't have the kind of luxury that other so-called developed countries had. So they just said, come what may, no, we are going to take this out. So they did not panic per se. We had less facilities, agreed, because ma'am, we are one of the largest democracies in the world, population-wise. One of our state called Uttar Pradesh is capable of being called the sixth largest country. I don't like to call it a country, but sixth largest human population in the whole world. It could be the sixth largest country if it was single piece. So what I mean is that the huge population, they never had full access to everything. So their willpower has a role, and the herd immunity automatically happens. I think in India, almost everyone who is in public life is a primary contact somehow by default. So this helped a lot. And yeah, I'm not trying to be politically incorrect, but I hope every governments have done their proper documentation. So that's also one reason, like, if it's not totally reported, then you don't know either. But India, it's a big democracy and very accountable democracy. Everything is very transparent and everyone knows everything.
I always like
Doctor,
to
you
say
had
that India is the only true democracy actually in the world. You know, if you
Yeah, yeah.
but there was one other question. Maybe somebody had asked about, is what you think of the COVID vaccine. I think you have already answered that question.
Yeah, I mean,
Obviously,
the intention is great, perhaps, but the outcome. Why do people who had even two or even three shots of vaccine, why do they die? That's a puzzle to me. And do you expect me to be honest or to be a diplomat?
honest.
you
Be
can
be
go ahead and be
brutally
honest,
honest.
please.
Ma'am, I do not understand how come people predict in advance wave one and then wave two and wave three will come. How come the vaccine manufacturers, I mean, say that maybe fourth or the fifth shots may or may not be required. There are many things I have no answer myself. I am puzzled with regards to vaccine. I'm not against vaccine, but I'm very puzzled about it. And I simply never understood, can a vaccine be developed that quickly in within 1 year span? I mean, it's also very interesting. Well, we have progressed. We have went to Mars and we have went where not to space, so it could be fast than 30 years ago. And the last thing, why is the vaccine lovers dead against the Ayush indigenous system when one after their therapy after therapy is failing, and when we have data and evidence of many things uh, proving the efficacy of the Ayush system in not only moderate, mild, and severe cases of COVID, how come that is labeled unscientific and not to be tried? And how come there are doctors, hepatologists kind of people, it's all there in the YouTube, who say to the Indian public in these COVID times, I would strongly recommend you not to consume turmeric and ginger, etc., unless it is scientifically proven that it is safe. Boy, was your grandparents not using ginger and turmeric for 2000 years? You may be a hepatologist trained from USA, but does it make it qualify you to say that you better not have turmeric till it is scientifically proven not harmless and poisoning the psyche of the public? So these multiple things make me think vaccine is what it is.
But doctor, then how do you account for the deaths we saw? Even in India, we saw people dying on the streets, and in the United States, in hundreds,
Yeah.
they were dying. What did they die of?
Ma'am, there is always a possibility there can be always an administrative or I don't know official kind of error in documenting. Not everyone with COVID would have died of COVID. They may have died of other systemic failures also. That's why most of the deaths, well, youngsters have died. There's no denying that. It could be a big chance that there are other comorbidities that led to early death. So that is something which may or may not be accounted totally or considered. So the fact is, it is of course notorious, no doubts on that. But then, if the immunity of the person is compromised, then they are not surviving anyway. And we find it very commonly in high diabetic and those who are obese also.
Doctor, on this point, I'd like to find out, when you do vaccines and then you do booster shots, is your immunity compromised?
They say that once you have got the COVID, to start, when you have got COVID, you don't take the vaccine immediately for the next 2 or 3 months lifetime. So there is still a lot of, I mean, I can say from my friends in the Western medicine, they themselves are confused whether they should take the vaccine shot or not. But if it's a national policy, if it's made compulsory, then no, then you have what it is.
Doctor,
So
I just have a question for children. Is there anything in particular for Ayurveda that they can take because, they're not taking the vaccine either? Is there anything for young kids, teenagers, different age groups? Is there anything specific that they can take?
yeah, ma'am, actually in them we use the same adults utilizing ingredients of half the dose or a quarter. The same, obviously. See, what puzzles me is also coming to this now in India, it has been, or in Kerala at least, like they have sanctioned that you can vaccinate kids from 2 to 18 years, where we don't call 18 years as kids, but that age group. So,
Okay.
but it's a common sense, I don't know, like how can you say that COVID is affecting only the elderly and the middle aged, and now it's affecting, no, I mean, I don't understand. Whether children are not equally important to start with, or they're afraid of the side effects of vaccine, if at all there is one. So, and there are plenty of cases actually. I was being told by a dear friend of mine in the government service that we find side effects of the most unimaginable level. People who were doing perfectly fine, be it neurology and other entities, after vaccine shot, they had hell of a situation back to square one. Plenty, even some getting stroke. So how does it justify that? So the number of side effects that are coming from vaccine may not be documented, may not be proved, but then if somebody was okay and then he went for vaccination and after 2 3 days he tells symptoms, then what should I attribute? We can't say a disease was programmed already. We just have to imagine that's the effect of vaccine. But then people do claim that there is plenty of protection it offers. So basically nobody has a clear data and we don't know who is manipulating what data.
Yeah.
And the
Doctor,
So there's
I
a
have one
question from a
sorry, from
listener.
one of our viewers who says,
Yes,
could you
yes,
please,
okay.
is there a difference between dry and fresh ginger? Is dry ginger better than fresh ginger?
Actually, dry ginger is more easy to consume and more easy to, you know, keep
Digest?
storage. Yeah, storage like that. Dry ginger is more easily digested, definitely, because the watery content is less. I mean, there's hardly any. But the wet ginger is easy to mix with honey, with a bit of tea, and like that, it becomes handy. You know, it's liquidy form. It's more of convenience. The effect is nearly the same. Dry is more friendly to use.
User
I have a
friendly.
last, I
Yeah.
have a question, quick one. What are the
Last
Ayurvedic
one.
doshas, doctor? The Vata, Kapha, and the Pitta.
Yeah,
Could you
ma'am.
just tell us?
Vata,
The
Pitta,
Ayurvedic
Kapha.
doshas.
Yeah. Vata, Pitta, Kapha are simple representations of multiple function systems of the body. I'm talking to you is Vata. I'm looking at you is Pitta. I'm static. I'm Kapha. So very simple like that. So there are basically multiple functions of the body which are like compartmentalized in these names. The digestive fire is working well, it is Pitta. If the joints are cohesive, like adhesive, cohesive, it is Kapha. And if the skin is getting dry, it is Vata. I'm just putting small examples about, yeah. I mean, it's a
Dr.
huge,
Srijit,
yeah.
you have to come back one day because I think we have millions of questions for you, but we are running out of time now. Thank you so much for being on this show. I know all our viewers would have loved, listening to you and can go on listening to you. Some of what you said, plus, your clinic in Kerala, perhaps Selvi will post it on our website. On our Facebook page, and maybe our viewers can then look at it, including some of the kitchen, product that you said is good to be used on a daily basis, so we can share some of that information. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you coming and joining us today. Our next show is on the 27th of this month. That would be the last of our Wisdom Wellness series. So please join us then. Yeah, thank you so much for being with us, time after time, and please pass the word around. We are on YouTube. All our shows, there's 39 of them on YouTube. They go as Wisdom Wednesdays Sri Lanka. So if you want to watch any of our past episodes, they're out there for you. Thank you. Good night. God bless you, and see you the next time around. Goodbye, Dr.
Thank you,
Srijit.
doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, doctor.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.